Good afternoon. We're almost at the end of day two, and I'm sure by now you are quite overwhelmed with all of the information, and you might feel a little bit challenged because there's just so much content. I'd just like to remind you that this is not a 3-day conference. This is actually a 1-year conference. And everything that we've tried to do in the summit um, hinges around challenging you to go back and implement what you've learned in your practice and in your business and in your life for that matter. So I want to encourage you to go back regularly and listen to the sessions. You will be receiving a workbook soon, probably within the next week or so. And the purpose of the workbook is for you to go back and review the stuff from the different sessions. There's valuable content in every single session. And the whole idea is that we don't just go and we get a whole lot of information, we hear a whole lot of new things, or sometimes old things that we've heard before, and come back and say, what a wonderful conference that was, or what a great session that was. And then we move on and we go back to our default way of doing things. The idea is that we are challenged and that we actually go back and implement some of the things that we've learned. I want to speak to you today about world-class practices and what it takes to grow and build a world-class practice. Now, I want you to think about your business. And when you look at this image and you see these guys rowing this boat, I don't know if you've seen this kind of sport before, if you watch these guys rowing, but if you had to watch them, it's perfectly synchronized. Every single person on that boat knows exactly what they're supposed to do, and when they row in sync. And you've got somebody that's steering, that's watching where they're going, and coaching them along the way. And if you think about your business, is that the way your business is flowing at the moment? Is your business gliding through the water perfectly smooth? Each person doing exactly what they are meant to do, each person rowing in sync with everyone else, a coach sitting on the side watching, advising, amending and changing things here and there to make the boat flow even smoother and more effectively. Now think about your business and see that picture and think, in your business, is that what's happening? Now I can tell you that the reality is not like that. That most of our businesses, this is not what happens. In fact, in most of our businesses, everybody's doing exactly their own thing. Now, statistics, the Gallup polls show that in an organization, if your organization had 10 people working for you, of those 10 people, 4 people would be actively disengaged. In other words, 4 people would come to work every day, they would go through the motions, but on purpose, they would be going against the flow. In other words, they would purposefully be doing things that are causing harm to your business. In other words, they don't follow proper instructions. They do their own thing. They don't consider the tasks that have been given to them. They just take matters in their own hands. They don't follow routines. So 4 out of 10 would be doing that. Then you'd have 4 out of 10 people who would be at work. So they would be there, but they would just really not be paying attention. They'd be coming to work every day. When you look at them, it looks like they're busy. It looks like they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. It looks like they are on your side, and they together with you trying to grow your business. But in reality, their minds are not there. They're present, but they're not present. In other words, they're present in body, but they're not present in mind and in their concentration. And that those kind of people make mistakes all the time. They don't follow up where they're supposed to. They miss out on opportunities. They're just not there. You can see the person sitting there, but they're not there. And you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And then 2 out of 10 people in your business are present, they're active, and they're working to grow and to push your business forward. Only 2 people are actively engaged at work. These are statistics not only in South Africa, but these are statistics worldwide. And think about your own business. Think about the people that work for you. And I'm pretty sure that you can put a face to that. Now, maybe it's a little bit different in your business. And if it is, you're lucky, and maybe it's worse. But that doesn't matter. So what I'd like to do today is share with you just some of the things that I've learned in the last 25 years of owning my own business, in the last 25 years of running my own business. I've had many businesses. I've also owned a couple of franchises, and I realized that in the franchise industry, we get taught a whole lot of routines, and it's almost like a turnkey kind of business. So the franchisor would set up a system that works, and you'd buy a working model. And I must say, I learned a lot from owning a franchise. I learned about these systems. And I'm going to share with you today some of what I've learned around world-class practices and managing a world-class business. There are 10 pillars that I'd like to go through with you today. And as we're going through these, I want you to just make some notes. And I want you to think about your business and think about the areas in your business where you are strong and the areas where you're needing a little bit of work or a little bit of help. Now, remember that because you already have a business, you probably have most of these pillars in place already. Some of them, like I said, will be stronger than others. And that's where the challenge comes, is that you would look at areas to improve and look at areas to keep going and to change a little bit. So when we think about world-class practices, the first thing that we need to have clear is a vision and a strategy. Now, if you think about vision and strategy and how we run our businesses, when we talk about vision, it's a clear vision. It's a vision that's that every single person in your business can see clearly. It's one clear vision of where it is you're wanting to take your business. And when we think about our business, think about your business, where it is you're wanting to take your business, what you want your business to look like, that picture that you have in your mind of your better tomorrow, of your business in a place that is giving you exactly what you want it to give you. Now, very few people have that picture in their mind of their better tomorrow, because we don't spend time dreaming. We don't spend time actually focusing on what it is we're wanting to achieve. I know that for myself, before I do anything in life, I first need to have that picture clear in my mind. We've recently done a lot of building alterations at my home. And before I even started the alterations, I had to have a plan. I had to have an architect draw up a plan for me. And when I sat down with the architect, I gave him the vision or the picture that I had in my mind. I shared that with him, and he took that vision and he put it down on paper and he gave me a plan. I could take that plan, which became my strategy, and we could get the building team together, and together we made it happen. We made that vision happen. So the first pillar of a successful business is to have that picture in your mind of what your business needs to look like. Then to be able to take that picture, put it down on paper, that becomes your strategy on how you're going to make this happen. One clear vision, a clear vision that not only you can see, but a vision that also can be caught by every single person in your organization. From the cleaning lady or the gardener that cleans the path in your garden outside, to the practice manager, to your front end staff, to the doctors that work with you, or the people that work around you. Every single person needs to know exactly what that one clear vision is. In other words, what it is that we want this business to look like. That's pillar number one. Once you have that picture, you have that plan, then we need competent leadership. That's where you need to step into place and become the leader that drives this strategy forward and this vision forward. Now, what is leadership? So leadership, in my opinion, has three aspects to it. First of all, a leader has to protect the people who he's following. And how do we protect the people who we are leading? We protect the people in our business by making sure that we run a sound business, by making sure that we don't cut corners and we don't compromise the integrity of our business, or we compromise our business in such a way that the business could even close down. So in other words, we run in a tight shift, we run in a good business on strong morals and ethics and values. We've got rules and guidelines in place that protect the people that work for us in that environment. Not only protect them, but it also protects ourselves, because it's our business, it's your business. And you need to know that your business needs to provide for you and your family. It needs to be stable and sustainable. And the only way that's going to happen is if we put certain things in place, certain routines, certain rules, and certain structures in place. And in protecting the people that work for you, sometimes we have to make difficult decisions. Sometimes you have to make decisions that are hard to carry on protecting your business and the people that work for you. So that's the first thing competent leaders do, is they protect. They create an environment where they protect the people. The second thing is they create an environment that empowers people that are following them, people that are working for you. So we create an environment where people can grow, where people can feel that they are being empowered. They are better off for working for you. You've got certain things in place in your business where every single person that works for you can reach their full potential, where you can reach your full potential. And how do we do that? We do that by creating opportunities and creating areas and challenging people and stretching them and giving them targets and lifting them up and making them a better person. You know, I interviewed somebody once that came and worked for me. And I remember at the end of the interview, I said to them, I said, if you're going to come and work for me, it was a front-end job. So it was somebody who was a salesperson, front-end staff. So it's kind of an entry-level job. And I said to them, if you're going to come and work for me and stay with me for the next 10 or 15 years, then I don't know that you're the right person. I want you to come to me. I want you to grow in such a way that you can move on, that you can be empowered and move on and step up and move up the ranks into a better position. And those are the kind of people that I look for, that work for me. People who constantly are growing and improving and bettering themselves. And the third thing that leaders do is they influence. So as a leader, you need to be the influence in your organization. I see so many businesses where the leader is not the influence in the organization. When you speak to the leader and you hear his heart or her heart, and you listen to their vision and where it is they're going, and you look at the business, or you go back to the business, you don't see that influence. Nobody else knows that. Nobody else feels inspired. Nobody else feels challenged. Nobody else sees the vision. And so how can you lead if you can't influence? Enough about leadership. The third pillar that needs to be in place in your business is strong coaching. Now, strong coaching is the duty of the leader or leadership in the organization. That's where you coach everybody in your organization. That's where you have systems in place, we have routines in place, and we have models in place where where people can be challenged, where you're giving your staff areas where they can improve and where they can grow, and you're coaching them along the way. You're standing and looking at them from the outside, and you monitoring, and you advising, and you editing, and you fixing here and there, and you shifting here and there, and you tweaking here and there, so that those people who are doing that specific position can grow and learn. Think about a coach in the sports team. The coach is not a better the rugby coach is not a better rugby player than the player on the field. But the coach has the potential to look at the player, to look at what they're doing right, and help them grow there, to look at where they need a little bit of help, and to help them in those areas and grow them there. So that needs to be in place in your business as well. There needs to be some kind of culture of coaching and helping everybody grow and improve. Pillar number 4 in world-class practices is having a measurement tool or some kind of a scoreboard, where you have a clear indication of what your targets are and where you're currently sitting. Think about any sports. I mean, how fun would it be to play soccer if there wasn't a scoreboard? If you just ran around and randomly scored goals, but nobody was following a scoreboard. Nobody could look and see who was ahead or who was behind. If you look up at the scoreboard, you need to be able to step into your business every day, and there needs to be a scoreboard, a visual management system in place, what you can look at when you walk into your business. You can already see what the scoreboard is, and you can see how close and how far away you are from winning the game. And we'll talk about numbers a little bit more just now. But I want to challenge you to put a scoreboard up in your practice. And there's a whole lot of ideas around scoreboards and visual management systems. But everybody needs to know what our targets are. Everybody needs to know where our break-even point is. And everybody needs to know where we're currently sitting with regards to meeting our targets. In other words, are we behind on the scoreboard, or are we in front? Are we losing the game, or are we winning the game? Practice number 5, to be able to read the numbers. And this one, I can't emphasize enough how important this one is. As a practice owner or a practice manager, you have to be able to read the numbers fairly accurately in your business. I would like to say accurately, but if you can't, at least fairly accurately. And when I say numbers, I'm talking about your financials. I'm talking about your books in your business. I'm talking about your profit and loss statements, or your income and expense statements. I'm talking about your asset registers. I'm talking about the financials that your bookkeeper is managing for you every month. You need to be able to read those numbers. You need to know, like we said before, what your break-even point is, and you need to know how much profits or what kind of profits you're making in your business. And there's other sessions there. I think session number 1, Dr. John, he referred to that as well, and Bruce Stevenson, session 2 on day 1, he also referred to the numbers and being able to read the numbers. So go back and watch those sessions and look at the kind of numbers you need to know and you need to understand in your business. I meet with business owners so many times where I would sit with them and I would say to them, let's look at your business. Let's think about your business. What's your annual or your monthly turnover? Then I'd say to them, okay, what's your daily turnover? Based on your monthly turnover, what's your daily turnover? I'd ask them what your break-even point is. I'd ask them what the split is between what's happening in your vet shop and the split what's happening around consulting. And they don't know. They don't know. And then I'd say to them, okay, what's your fixed expenses for the month? So your fixed expenses are everything you have to pay every month, whether you see one patient or no patients. These are expenses that you have to pay every month. Because that's your break-even point. Once you understand what your fixed expenses are and you're covering your fixed expenses, that's kind of your break-even point. And then we build on that to grow profits in our business. And you need to be able to look at the numbers on a weekly basis. In fact, I would look at the numbers on a daily basis. When I owned my Vodacom franchise, we used to meet daily and we used to look at the numbers from yesterday, and we used to look at the targets, what our break-even point was for yesterday, what our incentive targets were, because the guys who worked for me had incentive targets. They had to meet certain targets on a daily basis to get incentives. And we looked at that every day. And I challenged them every day to meet those targets. So we knew what the numbers were. I knew what the numbers were. So I could see already around the 10th of the month where I was going to meet my target or not, whether I was below or above my target. And if I was below, I knew I had to do something. And if you're not reading the numbers, if you're not looking at the numbers, by the time you realize it, it's too late. Because the numbers speak to you, and they help you, and they help you adjust and make plans and fix certain things that you're doing wrong. And if you're not reading the numbers correctly, how would you know? By the time you see the numbers, it's too late. I know doctors who own businesses, some of our practice owners, who have no idea what they're going to earn at the end of the month. Who, for them, when that SMS comes through on the 1st of the month with their salary, that's the first time they see a number with regards to what they've made for the month. That's how can you plan effectively if that's the way you run? Everything you're doing then is reactive and nothing is proactive. So learn to read the numbers. Number 6, we talk about industry sight. We talk about being able to understand what's happening in your industry. And when we look at this kind of sight, there's hindsight. In other words, where's our industry come from? What's happened in the past? Or what can we look back on and what can we learn from in hindsight? Then there's foresight. In other words, where do we see this industry going? What do we think is going to happen? If based on what happened in the past and what's currently happening, what's happening and what can we prepare for in the future? And then insight's the third one, is to take my hindsight, in other words, what's learning from the past, looking at where we're going and where future trends are taking us, and to have insight with regards to how I'm going to run my business today. And in any industry, it's so important that you have industry sight. It's so important that you know where you've come from and where you're going. And I would like to encourage you to use your suppliers to help you with that. Talk to your suppliers. Talk to the veterinary council and the veterinary associations. Talk to these guys regularly to understand, past in the past what's happened in our industry, where we're currently sitting and where we're going, and use that side to improve in the way you do run your business. Number 7, the 7th pillar is being able to manage the risk in your practice and in your business, understanding what the risks are. And yesterday you would have heard Ilse from ADT talking about some of the risks. Now, it's not only those kind of risks like your physical risks, but also industry risks, also financial risks, also risks with regards to your health and your life. And if you go and listen to the sessions that Brian is sharing with us from MoneyWise, he understands risk management. And tomorrow's session, he's going to be talking a little bit around succession planning. And that's part of managing the risk. If I had to ask you a question, and I look at my own business when I ask this question, if something had to happen to you today, would your business be able to carry on. In other words, if you couldn't go into work tomorrow and for the next week, month, 3 months, 6 months, would your business carry on? Would someone be able to pick up the reins? And obviously, there's going to be a little bit of shock, but would someone be able to pick up the reins and carry on with that business and keep going? Or will everything come to a standstill? Managing risk is something that we don't often think about. But I'll tell you that it's actually not that difficult to manage risk. It's a few minor changes, a few small things that you need to put into place to have the risk and to mitigate risk in your business with regards to losses. Pillar number 8, products and profit. When we talk about products and profit, we're talking about supply chain management. We're talking about the day-to-day things that you're doing in your business. Have you got some kind of a plan where you're monitoring the products in your business, where you're looking at profits and margins, where you have a relationship with your supply chain, where you negotiate with them on a regular basis with regards to your terms and conditions, with regards to the service and the stock holding or the delivery that they're giving you? Are they giving you a 30-day, 60-day, or 90-day account? Are you paying for your stock upfront? Do you have the right mix of stock in your practice? Are you carrying stock items on your floor that are not moving? How much capital have you got sitting in your vet shop at the moment that's not working for you? Now, I remember when we started working with one of the practices, I think they had just on R1 million worth of stock sitting in their vet shop. And based on their turnover and based on their profits, that was wasted money. That was a whole bunch of capital that was stuck and it wasn't moving. So we rearranged and we brought their stock levels down to around 500,000. But the stock that's sitting on the shop floor at the moment is stock that's moving. It's constantly moving. In fact, your suppliers deliver to you almost on a daily basis, depending on where you're situated. So why do you need to have heaps of money sitting on the floor in your vet shop when it could be sitting in the warehouse with your supplier and they could be delivering on a daily basis? When you look at running an online store, you'll hear in tomorrow's session about running an online store. The beauty of an online store is that your customers pay you for stock before you even give it to them. In other words, they pay you up front. And that gives you working capital. But it could also be dangerous, so be careful with that. So products and profits and supply chain management, pillar number 8. Pillar number 9, and this one, I cannot emphasize how important it is for you to have a solid CRM system. CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management System, or Customer Relations Management System, or your database management system, if that makes it easier. But do you have some kind of system in place in your business where you have the full contact details, accurate contact details of every single customer that's walked into your practice, every customer that's done business with you and spent money with you, and every customer that you've ever had the pleasure of meeting, having contact with? Do you have some kind of a system where you have that information stored? Not only stored, so it can't be like a hard drive sitting in the drawer somewhere, but it needs to be in a place where you can access that information and you can use that information to communicate with your customers. Let me ask you a question. How many times in a month do you communicate with your customer base? I want to challenge you. Don't send them a message every day, but I want to challenge you to at least communicate with your customers once a month by means of a newsletter or an SMS or a phone call. But at least once a month, communicate with your customers. And you can have different levels of communication for different customers. So when I look at managing my CRM system and my customers, I've got A-list customers, I've got B-list customers, and I've got C-list customers. My A-list customers, these are the guys who spend a lot of money with me. These are the guys who I really need to look after. These are the guys who get a phone call from me at least once a month. Got my B-type customers who are steady, stable, customers that support me, they're loyal, and they get an SMS or an email, preferably an email once a month, explaining and talking about a helpful email, not only advertising, helpful email, something that adds value to them, something that's interesting for them to read, and something that just keeps me in contact with them. And then you'll see list customers, which are the ones that come to you once in a while. You want to just keep reminding them that you're still here, you're still open for business, and that you're there for them if they need you. You could send them an email or an SMS once in a while. There's also a D-list customers, but I don't keep track of them. In fact, those are the guys that you don't want to deal with. Those are the guys that you give to the attorneys. You give the information to the attorneys because they've got to follow up on them, and they never pay their bills anyway, and they cause you way too much headaches. And we all know about those customers. So get a solid CRM system up and running in your business where you're keeping an accurate account of every single customer, of their details, and you can get hold of them and communicate with them on a regular basis. Number 10 is marketing. Now, when we think about marketing, most people, when times are tough and when business is tough, they cut their marketing budget. And really, that's not a wise thing to do. I think that if we increased our marketing budget in tough times, we can obviously bring more customers in, and we can turn things around a little bit and up the income coming into our business. So you need to have a marketing strategy. You need to be marketing actively every single month. You need to have a marketing plan. You need to sit down with your practice manager, with your front-end staff, and you need to develop a marketing strategy, a monthly marketing strategy. And a marketing strategy is not putting a banner up in the front outside your practice every morning. That's not a marketing strategy. A marketing strategy, and you're going to hear a lot more about marketing tomorrow in tomorrow's sessions with Debbie and myself. I'll be sharing some tips for you with regards to local marketing. So I'm not going to talk too much around marketing right now, but just know that you need to have a marketing plan in place. You need to have a strategy and a plan in place. And that needs to happen, an ongoing marketing strategy. The last pillar for successful practices is to have a sales strategy in place. When we talk about a sales strategy, I'm talking as basic as how your front-end staff sell to customers that walk into your practice. Step by step, how they sell. In fact, you could script it. In fact, you could write it out for them. You could do scenarios where they practice selling skills and selling techniques with regards to your customers. When your customer comes in, when your client comes in, your front-end staff needs to know that you've got so many products in your practice that your customer needs. And how many times do we see that? How many times do we see customers that come into our practice for a consult and they leave and they go and buy their dog food or their pet accessories from the pet shop in the mall? Why? Because we never sold to them, because we never invited them to come and buy from us. So there's nothing wrong with selling to your customers. They're there because they need your services. And if you're clever with regards to your sales plan, you will understand exactly what it is your customer or your client needs, and you'll be able to advise them and give them the best product for their money. So those are the 11 pillars of successful practices and world-class practices. Now, If all this is good advice, then I've done my job, and then the summit has been worth it. And if you listen to these sessions and you think, wow, that's interesting, that's really good advice, then that's cool. Then we've done what we set out to do. But that's not what I'd like this to be. I'd like this to be more than just good advice. I'd like you to go and look at some of the ideas that you've heard and that you've learned during this summit. I want you to go and write these things down, and I want you to go and create some kind of way of implementing this in your practice, in your business, in your life. Don't let this just be good advice. So my challenge for you is that you become part of the other 10%. Now, we all have heard statistics many times on how 90% of all businesses fail within 5 years. In fact, I think the statistics are slightly higher than that. More than 90% of businesses fail within the first 5 years. I'd like you to accept my challenge and to not be one of those 90% who fail. I'd like you to accept my challenge and become part of the other 10%. The 10% that are succeeding, the 10% that are thriving, the 10% that are growing. And when we speak to Gert just now from Sava, he's going to share with you some of the statistics around the veterinary practices in South Africa and what our industry looks like. And when you see those numbers, I want you to take on this challenge and remember this challenge. And I want you to become part of the other 10%. Now, if you'd like, you're more than welcome to send me an email. And for those of you who have attended this summit, I'm going to offer you a free consult. And we'll do that online. This is an online summit. And you just pop me an email. You say, I'd like to chat to you for a while. And I'll talk to you a little bit around some of the issues that you might be facing in your practice. And let's see if I can help you with any advice. Absolutely free of charge. No hidden agenda or anything. You just pop me an email, and we'll set up an appointment. We'll jump online and we have a conversation and see how I could steer you in the right direction or help you in any way. I want to take my hat off to all of you who have booked on this summit. This is the first time we've done something like this in South Africa, and I know that the future, there are going to be many more of these kinds of opportunities. In the world that we live in currently, we live in a really rushed world and we don't have time. And the amount of doctors who sent me mails and said to me that they don't have time to watch the summit during the day. And I had to explain to them that you have a full year to watch all of these sessions. You don't have to do it during the day. You can do it at your own pace and at your own time. And I look at the emails that come through, and I look at the times that you guys have booked. You know that most of you booked after 9 o'clock at night. Most of you booked sessions. In fact, one of you booked a session at 1:30 in the morning. And I think it was a Friday morning. And I still thought to myself, wow, imagine if that's the only quiet time you have to go through your emails and to respond to emails is 1 o'clock in the morning, because we're running such hectic schedules. So I want to commend you and I want to hats off to you for booking on the summit and for investing in yourself and for investing in those people that work for you. Enjoy the rest of the summit. Enjoy tomorrow's sessions. Tomorrow's focus is specifically around business growth. I'll be sharing some practical tips around sales, marketing, customer service, specifically for practice owners, practice managers to use and to show this to your front-end staff and to do a bit of training with your front-end staff. So enjoy the rest of the summit. Have a blessed day, and we'll catch you tomorrow.